Greetings, spies of the enemy, bearers of rings of power, free folk of Middle-earth, and the long line of Durin's folk, and welcome back to our archives. The Palantiri told me you would be here. Our researchers have just uncovered and excavated some more area within the Great Chasm, the Black Pit that is Moria, depicting some of the oldest and most mysterious dwarves in all of Tolkien's works. Khazad-dûm is enriched in culture, and I've already made a video about it, which I heavily suggest you check out. However, the dwarves that inhabited these sacred lands, the lands of the dwarves, the lands of Durin's folk, who was the oldest, who attained an age that was greater than perhaps even some of the elves in Middle-earth, and who truly stood out as the oldest entity in all of dwarven culture? Well, my friends, today we'll answer that question, beginning at number 6. Starting in at the number 6 position, we have Balin, who attained the age of 231, was born in the Third Age, 2763, dying in November 10th, Third Age 2994, in the realm of Khazad-dûm. Balin had led an expedition in order to reclaim Khazad-dûm, but was evidently murdered by orcs. After gazing into the Mirror, he was impaled with an orc arrow after an archer, who attained a very lucky shot on Balin, impaled him through the chest at long range, without giving Balin time to defend himself. Balin was a legendary dwarf, being one of the dwarves who, along with the rest of Thorin's company, assailed with the 13 dwarves to reclaim Erebor and renounce Smaug from their ancestral homeland. Balin was eventually killed within Moria, and his body was laid to rest in the chamber of Mazar Bul. Coming in at the number 5 position, we have King Thror himself, the legendary king of Durin's folk, who re-inhabited the Lonely Mountain, causing the realm to prosper under his leadership with such gold it would be paralleled only by Khazad-dûm and Moria itself. Born during the Third Age 2542, his rule spanned from the Third Age 2589 to the Third Age 2790. At the time of his death, King Thror was aged 248, a whole 17 years above Balin, as his age shows. Thror was incredibly wise, a king of Durin's folk, the son of Dain I and brother of Fror and Gror, known for ruling and governing the legendary kingdom Erebor on the Lonely Mountain. He was the father of Thrain II, who eventually gave birth to Thorin Oakenshield, who will one day lead the quest to reclaim Erebor. A truly legendary dwarven king, Thror can only be exceeded by Dain Ironfoot. Yes, of course you saw this coming. Dain Ironfoot is not only my favourite Tolkien character, of course played by the legendary Scottish actor, Dain Ironfoot with his blood-red axe and head, which is considered a lethal weapon in multiple different dwarvish society areas. Dain Ironfoot was the king of Durin's folk, the 5th king under the mountain, the lord of the Iron Hills during the War of the Ring in Middle-earth. Born in 2767, his rule spanned as a Lord of the Iron Hills from 2805 of the Third Age to 2941. Then as the King Under the Mountain, 2941 to 3019. He eventually was killed after attempting to save his fallen comrade's body. The King of Dale, who had recently been murdered in the Battle of Dale, where the Easterlings were outnumbering the dwarves, he accidentally perishing at the hands of the Easterlings and the orc armies, although his skill hadn't waned. His old age, Dain eventually reached the age of 252, a true testament to his wisdom. Now, moving on to the number 3 position, we have Gimli. At the age of 262, Gimli is the most famous dwarf on this list without question. Elf friend. Gimli was a legendary dwarf who was the main dwarven participant in the Fellowship of the Ring. Born in the Third Age 2879, he ruled the glittering caves at Helm's Deep since the early 4th Age to the 4th Age 120. He finally died during the 4th Age 120, sailing west to Valinor due to the fact he had been a ring bearer. Age 262. Gimli eventually was able to see Legolas again. In the undying lands of Valinor, Gimli was a legendary dwarf and was widely considered the most famous dwarf of not only the Third Age, but of all of history, with the exception of perhaps Thorin Oakenshield and Durin the Deathless. Gimli reached an age that was almost unprecedented, only matched by a few, including the next participant on this list. This next participant is the last member of Thorin's company we have, a brutish, hawkish man. We have Dwalin. Yes, Dwalin, the younger brother of Balin. Dwalin was born in the Third Age 2772, and his life lasted an impressive, almost unprecedented age of 340 years, severely outclassing all other dwarves on this list by almost a century. Dwalin was a legendary dwarf who ascended along with Thorin and company to Erebor. He died in the Fourth Age 91, just 29 years before the end of the reign of King Elisar. At the age of 340, there were few who could ever match Dwalin. The only one who ever exceeded him is number one. Of course, the original father. We have Durin the Deathless. This guy far outclasses anyone. At the age of 3,000 to 4,000 years, Durin the Deathless led the dwarves during a reign of prosperity, founding the kingdom of Khazad-dûm. Durin the Deathless forged the dwarven religion, their ideology, their reincarnation, and everything they ever did. The people of Durin's folk were completely governed by Durin the Deathless, and he was said to have lived multiple thousands of years, surviving through 451 years of the trees, which is 7.5 of our own years. Durin the Deathless eventually was killed sometime during the First Age, from natural causes, due to the fact that his reign lasted an impressive 3,000 to 4,000 years, perhaps even higher. We can only speculate to his true age, but due to this, he unquestionably resides on this list. At the number one spot, the pinnacle of age of the dwarves. Well, my friends, what did you think of this? Would you like us to document more information relating to the legendary dwarves? Would you like me to document their culture, religion, or whatever have you? Please suggest it in the comment section down below. It also truly saddens me to acknowledge that the multitude of Gondorians who enter our archives have not yet joined our ranks. If you desire to be updated on all the Lord of the Rings and Legendarium info every single week, then I implore you, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button to join the team. Now, this is where we part ways. Adorn yourself in your iron armor, men of the West, and sail into the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie.